So I'm just getting started right now. Thanks for joining, Fred. And so in October, September, I started down this pathway of researching Lightspeed VT. Some of you guys know Lightspeed VT, which is an online training company here in town. And I have a friend that is in the emergency management business, and he was looking for a training platform. So went over and met with those guys. They've been in business 23 years and spent a lot of time researching their platform, and found the two things about online training that are the hindrances for success. One was generating the content. The other is getting the learners to sustain the acquisition of material. They usually come in and watch 2 videos, and then you never see them again. But in our quest to find tools to create content, I went down the AI rabbit hole, and boy, did the lights go off. And in my life of identifying waves of technology, the PC craze, the PC networking craze, streaming media, crypto, AI is the next gigantic opportunity. And opportunity is the hard part about this. I'm going to go over some stuff and talk to you about this. And if you guys after this, if you guys have specific opportunities or questions for me, I'm happy to talk to you on an individual basis to possibly assist, because I've got a really good handle on what's going on, and this is my primary focus now. And I've got a couple, 2 or 3 projects that we're actively working on in this arena. This is absolutely going to be gigantic, and you either get run over by it or you catch the wave and take advantage of it. And I know some of you guys are already moving down this pathway, so I wanted to share some information that I've gained over the last 10-week period. So I'm going to share my screen and get to the deck.
Recording this for future use.
I'm recording it. Okay, so a couple of definitions. So people are all over the map when it comes to definition. AI versus machine learning, and the combination. You might hear deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning, deep learning are subsets of AI. And the industry would consider this, the stuff that's out right now, as narrow AI. You might have heard of artificial general intelligence. We're nowhere near that. Artificial general intelligence is when these things become as smart as a human being. Raymond Kurzweil claims that that's going to be in 2029, later this decade. So just some definitions there. And any specific questions to that slide, guys? I can only see half of you guys.
Could you elaborate on what the difference is, the general intelligence?
Yeah, I screwed up my window, so I can't see you guys now. I can only see 5 of you. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, no, I can't. I can't see everybody. So artificial intelligence, and that's kind of really the next slide here, Fred. So this stuff has been around since Alan Turing created the Turing test. You know, in the 50s, he wrote a paper about intelligence, and that's where the Turing test was born. You might hear that term being floated around. What is the Turing test? And the Turing test is when somebody's chatting to a chatbot and they can't differentiate it from a computer or a human being. We're not there yet. So other than the claims of this guy from Google that claimed that it was sentient, we're nowhere near that. We're getting closer, but we're not near. The point of this slide is this technology's been around for decades, and there's a reason why I call 2022 the breakout year for these platforms. And I'm going to show you this later here in the slideshow. So been around a long time. 2 factors that have come to fruition over the past couple of years. to make things like ChatGPT and Midjourney the success that they are today. Here's kind of the timeline back from the Turing test in 50/50. And then there was a big thing called the AI winter from like the 70s all the way to the mid 90s. All this kind of speculation, algorithms, neural networks that looked really good on paper, they couldn't get them to execute because they didn't have the horsepower necessary in order to pull those off. And then in 97, IBM Deep Blue beats Kasparov in chess. That was a monumental milestone, but Deep Blue couldn't do anything else. It was specifically designed to play Kasparov and win that match. But that, I would say, was a milestone. A bigger milestone in 2017 when DeepMind beat AlphaGo. There's a great documentary, if you guys are interested. They document the whole story of DeepMind beating the Go champion, and I highly recommend you watch that if you're into such things. This is super hard to see. I know it is.
John, what's the name of the documentary?
Something Go. I can't remember.
That's an odd name for a documentary.
Something Go. I can't. It's on net. Okay. It's on Netflix.
All right.
Put AlphaGo in the search in Netflix.
This is just showing this is logarithmic scale. This is showing you the exponential growth of the hardware in petaflops. So that big cluster on the top right there is all of the top clusters that are running AI. And I could do a whole lesson on the hardware side of the house of what's going on. One kind of interesting side note, last spring, NVIDIA's keynote speech, I don't know if any of you guys saw this, the whole thing was related to these supercomputers specifically designed for AI, from individual cards that you can put into your PC to specialized cards called A100s, which most of these top machines are using right now, which are $12,000 a card, all the way up to data centers for AI. And so all of these big installations are all using NVIDIA cards to launch these giant supercomputers in order to get things like ChatGPT or Midjourney to run. It's a huge investment in NVIDIA hardware to launch these giant supercomputers. This is kind of the same thing, achievements in AI. AI has won a math Olympiad. AI won an art contest from Midjourney. Nobody knew what Midjourney was back a year and a half ago. Defeats the world champion Go, just talked about it. Chess, if there's any chess players here, AlphaGo, which is the application from DeepMind that beat the world champion in Go, also plays chess. And it's the best chess engine on the planet. And that thing is rated about 5,000 in the points that you use for chess. The top player, Magnus, is rated about 2,800. So the best chess players on the world can't come close to beating these AI that are available now. And there's big controversy over there about people trying to cheat on chess. They have all kinds of hidden devices that they're using to cheat in person. A lot of them cheat online, but the chess engines are so good that no human on the planet could ever beat one of the top rated chess engines today. Another monumental milestone was protein folding, which is from DeepMind also. And just as a sideline, so you guys understand, DeepMind is a UK based AI company. The CEO's name is Demis, D-E-M-I-S. And they started that company in 2010. They were acquired by Google in 2014. They're the ones that have the AlphaGo that won the Go championship, also has the chess application. They also have an app that runs one of the first person shooter games. The word on the street is DeepMind has the top AI technology on the planet, which is owned by Google. Way better than what OpenAI has today. So you need to keep your eye on DeepMind and what they're doing, because their technology and their group of guys are the best in the world. They wrote and solved the protein folding application. There used to be a distributed network, kind of like the Bitcoin blockchain that's distributed, where you run. Remember the SETI application where you ran a screensaver and it was out looking for ET? They had that. They had one of these set up for protein folding, and the DeepMind Alpha Fold had solved protein folding, which is great for medical breakthroughs, because the amino acids are put onto basically like a chain or a necklace, and then that sequence of amino acids folds up into protein, causing the larger tissues. And now that they have that sequence solved, it's going to lead to some amazing medical breakthroughs. There's giant money flow going into AI for medical reasons right now. IBM beat Jeopardy. You guys know that. Fully automated cars. So there's cars running in Scottsdale that are fully automated. That's Waymo. That's part of the Google stable of technology. Tesla's got semi-automatic, fully automated, on their way to fully automated cars. That's a whole nother story. They'll probably have the best automated driving automobile here over the next 3 to 5 years, I would say. I'm waiting for the Tesla subscription to come out, where you pay $500 a month and you get access to a Tesla robot for unlimited miles. And that will be my only method of getting around town. Okay, here's something that a lot of people are unaware of. GPT-3, ChatGPT-3 was released November 30th, 2023. GPT-3, the technology, was released in 2020. So OpenAI had GPT-3, the technology, around for 2 years. And then OpenAI said, nobody's creating a chatbot. So they created their own and launched it in November 30. And that caused kind of the media frenzy that you have all seen on TV. And there's that, I don't know how much free advertising they got out of that deal, but ChatGPT 3 is free right now. It's not going to remain free. They're talking about like $40 a month, $42 a month to have access to GPT-3. We'll see how that shapes up. No official announcements have been made. GPT-3 scored like a 1060 on the SAT. That's recent. DeepMind's AlphaStar StarCraft 2, talked about that earlier. GPT-3 passes an MBA exam at Wharton. So we're in the early days here, and there's some amazing milestone achievements on AI. What do you think this is going to look like in 10 years from now? It's just going to be ridiculous. Okay, this is the paper that had changed the world of AI. This is published 2017. This was specifically designed to modify the neural networks and how the neural networks work, called a transformer. And the interesting thing about this paper was it's written by all guys from Google. Google invented the transformer. What does GPT stand for? Generative Pre-trained Transformer, invented by Google. That's the basis of OpenAI's technology, is GPT. And now that's half owned by Microsoft, right? 49%. Talk about that more. But this is the paper that defined the method of the algorithm of a transformer, all written by Google. And then Google open sourced this. OpenAI grabbed it and implemented it into GPT-3. And so why now? Why is AI all of a sudden the darling of the media? 3 things: the new algorithms, the transformer as a new algorithm in neural networks and how that works. Combination of large data sets. The data sets are called models. And that was one of the big things about GPT-3, is their model has 175 billion, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody say it.
Data sets.
It's not a data set, but it's 175 billion points, which is significantly larger than all the other data sets that were available when this thing came out in 2020. This is a big reason why it's super successful and super accurate today, is because of this giant model. The model supposedly is about 700 gigabytes that runs all in RAM, 700 gigabytes worth of data. And then these supercomputers. So NVIDIA just coming out over the last 12-month period with these boards specifically designed to run artificial intelligence and the amount of calculations that are going on. So these three things are the recipe in order to bring these applications to life. And this has all come to fruition now. Okay, so here's the landscape, and this is quite interesting. All of the big guys have access to this technology, and there's multiple different modalities. Steve Singer specifically asked me what's the difference between GPT-3 and Lambda that Google has. And their model's a little bit different, but I'm telling you that Google, Amazon, Meta, Adobe all have access to the same technology. Now, OpenAI is ahead on the model. Their model was pre-trained. It's been pre-trained over the last and refined over the last 3-year period. And that's giving them lead right now. There's other political reasons, but this is now a battle between all the big guys. Microsoft invested $1 billion in OpenAI earlier in 2022. And then just in December came back and gave them another $10 billion loan, which is going to be paid back. And they get 49% equity of the company. So Microsoft owns now 49% of OpenAI. And all the techies are kind of pissed off now because OpenAI, the founders of OpenAI, their mission was to have this technology open and not to fall in the big hands of the tech giants. But I guess when Microsoft walks in with the $10 billion check, you change your tune a little bit. And that's what happened. And so there's several different modalities of AI that are on the market and stuff that's coming soon. Generative text, which is ChatGPT. All the big companies have models that do that today. Text to image, which is DALL-E or Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. There's about a dozen of those out there. Every one of the companies have those. I suspect that you'll see Adobe integrate this. They've already made an announcement that they're going to integrate all of their AI directly in their applications. And so if you're in Photoshop, you'll be able to do generative art that will feed directly into Photoshop in layers, or if you're an illustrator, it will be vector. And then you'll be able to work on it accordingly in Illustrator and Photoshop and Premiere or After Effects. Every one of their applications is going to be integrated. Microsoft already announced that they're going to integrate the OpenAI platform into every one of their applications. So inside of Microsoft Word, you're going to have generative text. You're going to be able to say, write me a paragraph about a giraffe, and that will pull directly into Word. Inside of PowerPoint, inside of Outlook, you're going to have AI based upon OpenAI directly in all the Microsoft applications. I suspect we'll see that this coming year. And so this is kind of what the landscape looks like. The one kind of duck that doesn't fit into this model here on this slide is Stability AI. Now, this is an interesting story. Stability AI is kind of like the Red Hat of the AI world. They're the kind of the last bastion out there, larger company that's made a promise to stay open source. And so Stability AI has a text to image product called Stability. It's called Stable Diffusion. And then they have their own web-based interface called Dream Studio that allows you to create images based upon text input. And then they've got a bunch of other open source applications on their site. I'm watching these guys very, very closely. The CEO of that used to be a hedge fund manager, but we're actually playing with this code right now and downloading it. And and testing it out. Well, we had to buy a special piece of hardware from NVIDIA in order to get this stuff to run, which we'll receive tomorrow. And then we're downloading the stability code and the ChatGPT-J engine, which is open source. And then we're going to start building our own models. And so over the next weeks, we'll be very adroit in how all these pieces of the puzzle come together. And then Midjourney is David Hotz, and he's an entrepreneur that has self-funded this. I think out of all of the text image applications that are on the market today, Midjourney, I think, is producing the best looking imagery and most accurate. The interesting thing about these guys, Midjourney, is they decided to launch on Discord. For those of you guys that know what Discord is a communication application designed for gamers, now moving into generalized applications. But Midjourney, rather than build a website and you log in and create an account on their website, you go into Discord, you have an account on Discord, you log into their channel, and then you're able to create art on their channel. I know why they did this. They did it to save money because they didn't have to build out all the infrastructure on the website. They could launch it on Discord and immediately charge for tokens to create instant revenue. And I suspect they'll eventually move outside of Discord or in addition to and launch it directly from the web so that you can have access to their stuff via web tools. But a clever way to get to market quickly and start generating revenue. Pretty smart.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Have you looked at Canva?
Yeah.
CANVA?
I know Canva. Yeah.
Whose AI generator are they using?
I don't know the answer to that, but we've been briefed on Canva. They're doing some interesting things. So people are using Canva to create multiple different images for blog posting, because you can create multiple images and you can import like a CSV file into Canva and have it create like 30 images that you can use in blog posts. So I'm not sure that they're probably using Stable Diffusion since it's open source would be my guess.
Okay, because they're also doing they also have a text generator and an AI writer in that product now.
Probably all open source. So I would guess it's based on Stability's platform.
John,
Becky,
do you know anything
thanks.
about Creative Fabrica?
I've heard the name. Yeah.
It's pretty robust.
Yeah.
What was the name?
Creative Fabrica.
Fabrica?
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat.
Thanks.
So there's a site called let's see. Is Colin on? Colin, are you here? There's a site called huggingface.co. And this is kind of like the open source community. If you're interested in these guys have been around for like 5-6 years, has the best directory of all the players that are on the market today in the open source community. Huggingface.co. So this is my source of finding out anything related to open source. I go to Hugging Face. There's tons of applications and ton of open source projects going on there. So, and we're right in the middle of this building out our own infrastructure. And so this slide, I'll have more of this filled out over the next couple of weeks.
Really quick, Canva uses Stable Diffusion.
I was right. I was right. So all the big guys have been acquiring AI companies over the last decade. And so I think, is it the next slide now? I've got more to talk about on this, but all the big guys, believe me, are going to jump into this thing in a big way. There's sociological challenges and some legal challenges why you haven't seen more from the big guys yet. Now here's
John,
kind yeah.
John, on the legal challenges, Kayla as an artist is of course interested in the legality of using the art generation systems and whether or not similar to other things that violates copyright.
So there's 3 cases in the courts right now to test that that challenge. It ought to be very, very interesting. Anything that you create cannot be copyrighted, though, because the trademark office does not recognize computer generated text or art as a copyright.
Gotcha.
So this slide here shows you some of the deal flow that's going on right now. And what's interesting is I talked to some of my crypto guys, and a lot of them now are moving out of crypto into AI because this is where the money's flowing right now. So Microsoft loans AI $10 billion, retains 49%. There shouldn't be a dollar sign there. That was December 22. Stability AI just closed in December, 101 million on a $1 billion valuation. Jasper is a super interesting case because Jasper uses GPT-3. They just closed 125 million on a $1.5 billion deal, which is amazing because they're taking GPT-3, they're refining the model specifically for marketing purposes, but they were able to get a $1.5 billion valuation based upon that model. And that tells you volumes of how the street is valuing all of these efforts, these vertical efforts now in AI. There's something really valuable lesson to learn there. And then there's a ton of other ones, a ton of money going into the healthcare space where my dad and my brother are both radiologists, and they've been worried about, AI reading x-rays for the past 20 years. And I think this is probably the decade that's going to happen. They're going to be able to read x-rays way better than a radiologist. The x-rays right now the AIs right now are reading the x-rays and then highlighting stuff for the radiologists. They've been doing that now for like the past 5, 6, 7 years. But eventually the AIs will be so accurate that I'd rather have an AI read my x-ray than a human being. So a ton of deal flow going into the space right now in AI. You're going to see a lot more happen this year. Okay, so this slide is stuff to ponder. The tech giants are being very, very careful on the rollout. You notice that in the news, you haven't seen much about what Google's up to, what IBM's up to, what Facebook is up to, what Oracle's up to, what Amazon's up to. All you're hearing about is OpenAI. You're hearing about Deep Journey. You're hearing about names that are basically disposable. The big guys are kind of backing and watching the small guys and letting these guys take all the heat. There's giant sociological challenges. There's a new movement called the Neo-Luddites, right? For those that are familiar with Ned Ludd from the Industrial Revolution, where the farmers were having to leave the farm and go work in the city, and during the Industrial Revolution, Ned Ludd led this revolution of this is the wrong thing and people should be at home with their families and the farm. And they were breaking the machines in the factories. And I'm starting to see this now. In fact, we've got a couple guys in our group that I call Neo-Luddites that are anti-AI. And you're going to see more and more of this. And this is the reason why the big guys haven't dumped all of their products on the market today. They're going to roll this stuff out really slowly, and they're going to wait for the courts, and they're going to wait to see what happens with the smaller names first before we start to see a giant rollout. Super interesting to see what's going on. I know of at least 3 lawsuits pending right now. Google claims they can identify. Oh, this is interesting for those of you guys that are into SEO. Google claims that they can identify stuff written in AI on your blog post, on your blogs or your websites, and they'll ding you for that. And so I don't know how much of that's true. I wouldn't doubt it. Google's in a fight now, and this is a giant battle between Google and Microsoft now with OpenAI.
Can I chime in on that really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So ChatGPT, it writes in the passive voice. And if you write a full blog, it'll do all passive voice, and SEO will catch up on that. And that's where it's dinging it.
Can you define passive voice, please?
You missed that day in English?
I did too, John.
I missed that year.
It's just basically autonomous lines that would say something like you're putting me on the spot here.
Sorry.
Bobby is a boy. But it doesn't really explain it, doesn't give it any type of emotion, doesn't give it any type of direction. It's just a line like come look at this thing, and instead of this is a great thing to check out, and it's
Jeffrey,
got this and this and that.
I think the bigger issue here is if Google claims they can identify AI, it's not that good yet, right, John?
Well, there's a bunch of third-party tools that are claiming out there that you remember the spinners, Fred?
Yeah.
So you would write an article once and you would spin it 15 times for your other sites. So there's a bunch of spinner software out there that I'm starting to see now. So you take ChatGPT and then you spin those articles. And so this is the constant battle between Google and the SEO world. So that's happening right now. I'm starting to see that. USPTO says copyright requires human authorship. I talked about that earlier. So you won't be able, unless, and I don't know what the percentage is. Say you take a text to image out of Mid-Journey and bring that into Photoshop, but then you add, say 70% of the composition is self-done. I'm sure that should be able to be copywritten. Okay, so here's what people are talking about. What are the jobs that we've eliminated over time? Lamplighters, buggy whip makers, switchboard operators, ice delivery men, bowling pin setters, film projectionists, milkman, elevator operators, typesetters, right? So we've always kind of adapted as humans. As technology has made things obsolete, we have adapted quickly, and that's going to happen now. Some of the things that will be in trouble here over the next couple of years: copywriting, entry-level customer support, paralegals, entry-level software development. So one of the other applications that OpenAI has, because they partnered with Microsoft owns a property called GitHub, which is a place where you deposit all your code. And so they built a giant model of writing code. And so ChatGPT writes pretty darn good software these days. I've been playing with it for the last month. And one of the first things that I did when I had ChatGPT up was write me a Python program that shows me the first 1,000 prime numbers, and it nailed it. And that was a big aha moment for me. All of that was trained upon Microsoft's GitHub. And so now with using VS Code, which is the #1 platform that coders use, all they do is type into the comments when they're coding about a code snippet, and then it's called Copilot that will finish off the code for them in their software programming. And so entry-level software devs, big trouble. Entry-level web devs, big trouble. Illustrators, I think the illustrators, when Adobe integrates this into Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, it's going to be a super useful tool for these guys. I think that they're going to be okay for at least a decade, but this will be a super good tool for them for creativity, pre-visualization, etc. Tutors, why will I need a tutor anymore in 5 years from now? In fact, the whole educational market, I think, is suspect. This whole thing of going to an educational institute, whether it's college or high school, you're going to have access to the best minds via AI this decade, and so the model of education is going to completely change, in my opinion. Entry-level financial advisors. Some of the stuff that's going on in the financial community with AI is unbelievable. And so your local guy at Edward Jones is going to be in big trouble. Translators, the technology that they have for translating now, using these advanced AI technologies, are just spectacular. So some amazing use case for the technology. Oh, here's the chat for those of you guys that haven't seen OpenAI. You've been living under a rock. This is what the interface looks like for ChatGPT, which is at openai.com. You come here, you create an account and you get a prompt and you ask it any question that you might want to ask. So my wife's birthday was December 17th. And guess what? I wrote my wife a beautiful poem for her birthday and presented it with flowers.
By the way, John, real quick question for you. I was told by some knowledgeable party that the best way to get into that is via beta.openai.com/playground, so that you're behind the scenes here.
Yeah, the playground is more accessible than the front end website. Absolutely true.
Can you post that link?
But
Done.
Fred, you blew my joke.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
So I present my wife this poem and a nice card and flowers. She opens up or reads this poem and says, "You didn't write this." I was totally busted. I'm like, I edited it.
Doesn't that count? Yeah.
So she was totally busted. But ChatGPT-3, people are using it all over. Drink toast, poems, songs, legal agreement. Have it write you a legal agreement for a lease agreement or a buy-sell agreement. It's fantastic. Writing programs, writing business plans, writing jokes, writing recipes. The thing that a lot of people don't understand about ChatGPT-3, it's conversational. So write me a poem about Leanne and then make it funnier, make it darker, make it brighter. ChatGPT is conversational. And so that's why they have clear or new chat. You ask it a question and you can ask it further questions. It's not like a database that's going out and capturing information out of these big models. It generates that and it predicts the next word, and it's conversational, so you can drill down. That's a big difference between older technologies. Writing sales copy, I would say at least 60% of what you see on Facebook today is written in an AI, most of them using OpenAI ChatGPT. It does a really good job at writing sales copy. I said, for me, write sales copy for a box of rocks, and it wrote a great little paragraph for a box of rocks. Lesson plans, research papers. Now, New York has just now restricted ChatGPT-3 in the school. This is kind of like the old days where we couldn't bring calculators into class, which was my era, and I think was absolutely the wrong thing to do. And so that ought to be interesting to see how that shapes up. So that's just a small smattering of kind of the examples that you can do today with the chatbots that are out there, ChatGPT-3 being the most predominant one. Here's the timeline now, and OpenAI's GPT. They were founded in 2015. GPT-1 was released 2018, had 117 million parameters, 4.6 gigabytes of storage. GPT-2, 2019, they went all the way up to 1.5 billion parameters. ChatGPT-3, released in 2020, 175 billion parameters.
Hey, John, sorry to interrupt again, but just a quick question for you. Some of the other people on the chat may also have known or seen this. I don't know if you saw that, what's his name, from Copy Pro, John Benson, just did some kind of thing where he tried to sell people a $6,000 program, which I assume is based on existing open source technology. I was wondering, is there anyone who is using anything other than the big guys that you describe who is not using something other, interfacing with the open source technology?
I don't know the answer. I mean, there's so many open source projects going on now that it's hard to say.
Okay.
Stability.ai is the leader. And then if you were going to find it, you'd find it on huggingface.co. And then ChatGPT-3 launched November 30th. Now, there's tons of speculation out there. If you go to YouTube and type in ChatGPT-4, you'll find all kinds of claims about giant amount of parameters and storage and launching soon. Sam Altman, the CEO, says it's all BS. In fact, he said that the model won't be much bigger than ChatGPT-3, but we expect to see a revised version of GPT coming out this year. and only going to get better from here, guys. This is the early days, and it's only getting better. Now here's something interesting. These are the prices for OpenAI if you're going to use OpenAI's API from the 4 different models that they have access to, Ada being the small one and DaVinci being what's based upon GPT-3, which is 2 cents for 1,000 tokens, which is 750 words. This is expensive. I'm told that they're paying anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000 a day to have that open for free right now. That's not going to sustain very long in the future. They're going to shut that down, and people are claiming that's going to cost around $40 in order to have access to ChatGPT-3 soon. But for those of you guys that want to write an application and access the API, these are the published costs right now today. Okay, Midjourney. This is called text to image. You type in text and it produces an image. Out of all the ones that are out there today, there's 24 of these. I think Midjourney is doing the best job as far as imagery goes, and their models look better than anything I've seen. OpenAI owns one that's called DALL-E. So if you go to OpenAI, you'll see DALL-E. That's their application that competes. I think Midjourney does a better job in generating prettier imagery than DALL-E does. And so if you go into Discord and you use their bot, you can do /imagine, and then you type in the parameters. In this case, I typed in a money printing machine, and that's what the output looked like. And that's pretty darn good. The thing that it can't do right now is fingers. It has a problem with fingers. If you type anything related to a hand, you're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 fingers. And so they're working on that. But some of their imagery inside of Midjourney is spectacular. I don't know if Kyle, Mr. Widner, are you listening? I thought he was on here earlier.
Yeah, I'm here.
Can I talk about your projects?
Sure.
So Kyle and I have been working together on AI. Every time I call him, I say, Kyle Widner, now with AI. Started back in early December, collaborating. Kyle since then has created four or 3 books.
4.
Has created 4 books in 4 weeks using a combination of ChatGPT-3 and Midjourney, and they're up for sale on Amazon.
And selling a couple copies a week.
And do you guys feel lazy now? So Kyle took the bull by the horns and is creating amazing content and putting it for sale up in Amazon.
Why don't you put a link in the site in the chat?
Matter of weeks. So some of the fun things you can do with the image bot examples. My favorite parlor trick is creating love children. And so the neat thing with Midjourney is you can take 2 photos and you can have it create a composite. And I did this with my wife. This is my second wife. We didn't have kids together. And so I fed it our 2 images. That's when I used to be good looking. And that's a composite of our love child right there. And so I'm sitting at the bar the other day, which is quite unusual for me, right? And there's this nice couple sitting next to me, like myself and my wife, had never had kids. They've been married for 25 years. I took a picture of both of them. I ran it through Midjourney. It comes up and the wife says, "Oh my God, this looks exactly like my sister." So this is an amazing part. This is good if you go to your high school reunion. You could do love children between the people in your high school that always wanted to hook up. It's a fun parlor trick. And then I also did Ronald McDonald and Wendy. This is what their love child would look like. No
really
laughs.
quick, I want to jump
audience.
in. So basically, the pictures are turned into keywords, and those keywords are then turned into re-imaged, basically. So if you have a picture of you, like full body picture, your results are going to be a lot different than if you have a close-up face, and they're not going to be perfect. I tried to do Kevin Bacon in a frying pan with eggs, and I had a hard time getting a Kevin Bacon look in the picture, and I tried multiple. So the keywords are the most important part in the imaging.
If you want to ruin your rest of your day, go to Midjourney and log into Discord and start creating images, and you'll be there the rest of the day. So some of the interesting thing about these image bots, people are using it for logos, people are using it for fine art, abstract art. I used it for some user interface, user experiences that were pretty darn good, I have to say. Regular design work, industrial design, criminal photos, you can upload a picture and say, make this younger, make this older. Patterns, character design. A lot of the game guys are starting to use this for character design, architectural. So this is for people that can't draw and have a thought in their head, like Kyle and I, that want to produce, something, that easily go to Midjourney and create a piece of imagery and load it into your document or load it into Photoshop. Is an amazing tool. That's why I say that this is going to be a great tool for real illustrators. Once they have direct feed directly into Photoshop, it's even going to get better. But this is a super useful tool for content creators or any sort of business. Super useful technology. Coming very soon, what I'm starting to watch very closely is 3D modeling. And so create a cube, and that would create a 3D model and bring that directly into one of the 3D modeling, Cinema 4D or any of those, or Blender, and then have you create 3D models directly. And then say you wanted to feed that into your 3D printer. That's coming very, very soon. Audio and music. There's several different modalities in audio. There's speech recognition, and then there's video into, or audio into, transcription in multiple different languages. Those are out right now. And then there's a bunch of music composition tools coming very, very soon on the audio side. And then videos. And so you're going to be able to do text to video, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And the applications for these, as they round out the different modalities, is going to be a game changer. I never thought, we learned neural networks in college, and I was in college in the 80s. We learned the architecture for neural networks. Never did I think that AI would tackle the creative industry as fast as it has. And so it's really interesting for me to look back and say AI attacking the creative industry, one of the first applications, is pretty amazing. Some final thoughts here. These are super early days for AI. And so I'm happy to consult with you guys. And if you've got an idea or questions, you know how to find me, or help you on your project. I've got a good understanding of the hardware and the software and the models that are out there today. Data is the new oil. And so if you have access to a data set that's proprietary, it's gold. And so Microsoft having access to the GitHub, which is all the software applications, how they built Copilot, that was an absolute win. If you're a big medical, say a hospital or radiology department, having access to all those medical records is gold for AI. All of that data fed into a data model, some sort of proprietary data model. If you have access to a data model that could be built into an AI, I'm telling you, data is the new oil. AI will become advisors, and that's kind of what they're doing now. It's only going to get better. They're going to be very, very helpful. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. Medical breakthroughs. The protein folding is the first one. Diagnosis, prescriptive medicine, where it's specifically designed. Once they sequence your genome and giving you prescriptive medicine based upon AI, some great, amazing things going on in that regard. Solving scientific and mathematic problems. And so some of the AIs are going to be let loose in material sciences. They're going to create new exotic stuff that we've never even thought of, and create math problems that we haven't been able to solve. So it's just some amazing stuff is going to be coming down the pipeline. Helpful in legal matters. I can't wait to fire my attorney when I can have ChatGPT write all of my legal work. That's going to be great. It's a ways off, but they're going to be super helpful. Financial analysts. I'm starting to see some amazing application in finance coming down the pipeline right now. AI will be the ultimate creative assistant. And so for those people that are in creativity, whether it's music or imagery, they'll be able to use these tools and create some amazing work. And beware of the neo-Luddites. And so you're going to see backlash for those people that I call the neo-Luddites, talk all kinds of, negativity about AI. And did you see the movie Terminator? So a lot of that, a lot of those people are misled, and it's not going to happen. They're going to be super useful helpers moving forward. So, but I'm starting to see a lot of social repercussions based upon AI. And that's it. And so it begins. And this is my little cyborg that I created in Mid-Journey to represent AI and the birth of AI. And so that's the end of my deck.
Hey,
And
John,
right on 1 hour.
Bill Webster here. I thought I'd
Hey,
just chime in. I sort of posted a question earlier. I just, wondering about Google's, of course, the biggest company building AI, also writing tools that, will identify AI written content. But I wonder if companies like Jasper that just raised all this money are worried about something like that coming along. And because I've played with that quite a bit and spun out articles using Jasper. It's a great little tool for that. But what do you think about stuff like that?
I think that the big guys are going to start dropping bombs and start integrating it into all their applications.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how search engines evolve into AI/search engine, or a hybrid therein. But all of the big guys have this technology, and they're going to start integrating it into all their applications that we use on a daily basis. Jasper, I can't believe they raised that money on that valuation.
Yeah. Especially
Which is
with so much uncertainty and AI being so new.
Yep.
Just to give you a real world application, you may know this from Michael, that my company is basically, we do offshore BPO services. And one of the things we do is we do social selling and SMS chat support. And we're working on a project actually right now for the Denver airport. They're switching to interactive kiosks. And we're actually in the process of building out the whole, like, where are the Starbucks located? All that's going to be AI driven information. And so we're building data sets around that. And then at a certain point, if you want to talk to a live agent and, ask what color your eyes are, we might AI that out as well. But what's interesting is the other piece of that is that Denver Airport has requested this thing be available in real time in multiple languages. And so we're building this thing out in English, but again, looking at the data sets to allow that. So if somebody is like, oh, I speak Arabic, no problem. Ask your question in Arabic. And of course, we've built out the data set. So we're playing around with a lot of this stuff. And this is going to have, we're rolling out real world applications of this stuff this year. So it's going to be kind of cool to see this, see how this works, man.
Well, and then we've got our project, Bill.
Yeah, of course.
So we've got Bill and I are working on another project, and so I'm all in on this. Yeah. I was all in fact, some of you, David Galoob and Steve Singer and I all worked at Hello Network, and we were super early in streaming. And so in my career, I've always been good at identifying macro trends, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
And so any application that you could jump on right now, I'm telling you, there's some giant opportunities here. So
yeah,
David's one of my original investors in Hello in 1996. We were super early in the streaming business, and Steve was my CFO at that same company, and we raised $70 million for that company. So That's like
Well-
Jasper raising, 150. So
Yeah. Well, my advice, and I got some of this from you and my own exploration, is don't think big, your head will explode, but think of a niche. What's the one thing you know how to do? I know how to like straighten nails, with one, twist of a hammer. Great. Like figure out how to find your niche and then start using AI around that. And I mean, that's kind of what we've been doing with our social selling and some
that's
of the
great.
stuff we do that's very specific to, plus 65 age group Americans. So,
That's great.
yeah. So anyway,
Well, William, what's the name of your company?
MEA Solutions. So Maya for mayasolutions.com. You can go there. It's a very simple website, AI generated.
Bill's been working with Besson for what, 20 or 15 years or something.
Gosh, we go back to where none of us knew anything, but
Yeah.
and we're doing all kinds of fun stuff now, just trying to change the world. And since we've made money, now we're trying to, make the world a better place. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Gloob, I have some thoughts about your project as well that we can talk about offline.
Yeah,
I thought-
I'd like to do that, John.
I thought about it overnight and I've got some ideas.
Okay, how do I want to get a copy of this. How do I get it?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Are you PC or Mac?
I am Mac.
Great. It's Keynote. I can convert it to PowerPoint, but I'd rather leave it in Keynote. But I'll send you the Keynote file.
Okay, that's great.
Anything else, Steve Singer?
John, I would like a copy also.
John, I'd like a copy. That's all I was trying to say to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
and me too, and you're gonna have to convert it to PowerPoint.
Oh,
Sorry.
You suck, yeah.
I'll take the video.
There's an AI bot that does that.
Circulate a video, man. I want to hear your authoritative voice, man.
Boy, we're right at an hour. I didn't expect it to go that long. That's amazing.
Very
Well,
nicely done.
Thank you guys. I appreciate your
Great.
time,
Thanks.
and I've done my duty as a friend. I've shared my information early on to all of you guys. So
Great job, John. You did a great
And
job.
that was very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wishing
Thank you, man.
wishing you guys well, and hopefully you can think of an opportunity to take advantage of this information.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Very impressive, John, for your first presentation.
This was my first presentation. This was my first.
He told me not to heckle him, but
No heckling.
so,
Only in the
Exactly.
chat. Only in the chat. Thanks, guys. Good
All
meeting,
right.
y'all.
See you guys. I'm
Yeah.
ending the meeting.
Cheers.
thanks, John.